Yes, all right. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. This is Farhan coming to you from Noble Sky International. Thank you. I hope for those of you who was already in the room and waiting, I hope you've been enjoying the tunes that was being played by my team. Okay, I am actually, we may be expecting a few more people coming in. I know being a Saturday morning and all that, today we may not be expecting a big group of people coming in. We did this a little bit of a last minute coming to arrange today's meeting because we thought that a webinar is due in the month of May to get the word out about investing in US real estate. Okay, so I'm happy to see some of you who are already in here. I just want to double check if you can hear me. Okay, if you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. If you're familiar with Zoom, give me a thumbs up so I know you can hear me well and clear. We have Vincent Feng, we have Hui Kui, Suresh, and Anthony. Anthony, right? Okay. So guys, this is how we're gonna do today's webinar. Because it's being a small group, I want it to be as much as possible being an interactive kind of a session where we can actually learn more about how we do US real estate. Okay, so I want to share with you a few things today that's gonna help you figure out and get some clarity in terms of how we invest in US real estate. And I know those of you who are in here probably are looking for ways to invest better, right, in real estate. You may be doing it already in your countries, and you may want to now see how US real estate can probably fit into your bigger plans. Is that right? Okay, so I will introduce to you a few things about what Noble Sky as a company does. We are based in Singapore, and how we can actually help you, being foreigners who are not in the US, actually invest easily in US real estate. Is that good? Right? I hope you guys can hear me. Okay, so for those of you who are comfortable, if you want to, you can actually turn on your camera. Okay, so I can actually see your facial expressions. I can sort of like read whether you're understanding what's going on that's being shared. So that I can adjust accordingly if need be. Okay, so give me a moment. I'm going to be sharing my screen in a bit, and let me see. Okay, let me just do a few things. All right. Okay, so can you guys see my screen? If you guys can see my screen, give me a thumbs up once again, so I'll know that things are going well. Because yesterday we had a little bit of a scare. I'm not sure if any of you actually encountered this. Zoom was having some problems loading in some parts of Singapore. I'm not sure if it extended out to outside of Singapore. We had problems trying to connect to Zoom. My wife was in school as well, even through her schools. The whole place was down from Zoom. So I hope today's technology is not going to fail us. All right. So here we are today. We are Noble Sky International. Okay, we've been a company that's been helping people grow their wealth through US real estate since 2014. So we've been around since 2014, based in Singapore and reaching out to the rest of Asia, helping people do US real estate in a very unique manner, in my opinion, that's going to help people actually grow their money. All right. Let's move on with some introductions. Okay, what I want to share with you today is going to be things that what we have done for ourselves already as a company. Okay, for ourselves and for our clients. So we have already served since 2018 a number of about in the tune of 300 plus clients. We have helped them to invest in US real estate, and whatever we are going to be sharing with you today are things that we have done for ourselves. Point number two. Okay, there will be nothing for sale. All right. So if you are coming in here today expecting that I'm going to sell you something at the end of this session, there's nothing for sale. So you can actually keep your wallets and credit cards aside. You can rest assured. But what I will be sharing with you is how we can actually, we have been helping clients to do this for themselves, and how it can work for them if they decide to work with us. Okay. So there'll be something which I will introduce to you briefly at a later part of this webinar. Okay, and the next thing that I want to share with you is that the world right now has been going on through quite a bit of turmoil, right? In terms of the economy, we've seen quite a number of things happening. We've seen inflation, we've seen the war and things like that. So I know you at this stage is probably you have thoughts and ideas about how you want to navigate this current environment. I want to share with you as well how perhaps US real estate can help you be a better option for you to actually get there. Okay, so if this is good, all right, if this is something that you are looking forward to, then let me know. Okay, so now I want to share with you about me a little bit. Okay, so this is me. I'm actually the head of marketing and comms at Noble Sky International. So I have been with the company for a good 4 years. Previously, I was a senior officer in the Singapore Police Force for a good 8 years. And in the year 2017, end of 2017, I decided to resign and to pursue my other interests. Okay, so the only unfortunate thing about being in civil service in Singapore is that you can't do your own business and things like that while being in the civil service, right? So I had to, resign and then decide to go out and venture out on my own. And so that was a good tipping point for me where I decided, okay, if I needed to survive out on my own, I need to secure my basis in terms of my finances. So when I got out and I had some money set aside, I wanted to invest that money in a place where the money can grow. Some of you may have gone through this stage or in your life before. So what I did was I wanted to go and put my money in in real estate. So that's when I actually met the founder of Noble Sky International, Ralph Said, and that's when I got involved with US real estate. And since then, I've been building my portfolio in the US, and it's been really for me makes so much more sense than investing in my local markets. Okay, so at this stage, how many of you are actually investing in your own local markets in real estate? Give me a yes, or type for me local in the chat. Type for me local if you are currently investing in your local market. Right, Doris says local. Yeah, great. Vincent, great, local. Suresh, local. All right. Anyone else investing in your local real estate? Okay, so the rest of you guys not done it yet. Okay, great. So that leads me to the next question, which is where are you coming from? So can I have Vincent, Suresh, and then the rest of you who are in the room as well to just share with me where you're from? Singapore, Malaysia, or maybe Indonesia? Let me know. Vincent from Hong Kong. Farhani Lee. Okay, we have quite similar names. All right, from Malaysia. Suresh from KL. Awesome. How are things in KL and Malaysia anyways? The borders are open. I am itching to go in, but I have not got my passport renewed. It's in the process, so I'll be pretty excited to go back in and at least go for a family holiday maybe in June. All right, so you guys are in Malaysia. Yes, all right. So things are good. I'm looking forward. You guys, Malaysia is like our closest neighbor, and yeah, looking forward to all the food and yeah, all the maybe even some kind of shopping. Okay, so yeah, now that I've being here right now, I just realized that we are still yes, Suresh, I will love to come over. What I realized is that we actually still celebrating the Hari Raya season now, right? So yes, Selamat Hari Raya to those of you who are actually celebrating the season. And I hope that things are doing really, really good over there, right? So probably we put the festive seasons aside for a little bit, so that we can now think about the financial side of things, because that's where we want to secure our future regards to how we do our investment, so that we can do more good things, right? Here's a little bit about where I'm at with my investments. I have 5 properties in my portfolio. In the state of New York, 1 in the state of Florida, and 3 in the state of Houston, in Texas. Okay, and basically for me, my idea is to build more portfolio, and how this happens is not because I have so much money in hand that I can afford to buy 5 properties. Because this session is I'm going to show you how you can do it, even if you do not have a lot of capital to start up with. Okay, is this good? Are you guys excited to find out how you can actually invest without having like millions of dollars? Yes, if you like it, then type yes in the chat, so I know it's one of the things you are trying to learn. All right. Okay, Suraj says yes. Vincent says yes. Anyone else? Okay. If the rest of you not saying yes, probably means you have unlimited capital and have no issues with buying multiple properties. Okay, I will show you, of course, how we do this in the US, right? Okay, so what you're going to be discovering today will be a few things. As I've mentioned, Noble Sky as a company has been around for 8 years now, right? Since 2014. So there has been a lot of changes in the market, but what we have done for our investors and our clients, that strategy has not changed for a while. And the reason being, we enter into a very unique strategy in a sense that when we enter the market, we want you to be on the winning side already. Okay, so most people, when you enter real estate, what do you think about? Can you guys share with me, when you first enter real estate and you want to make money, what are you thinking about? How do you actually make money from real estate? Can some of you share with me? How do you make money from real estate? At least from what you know. Buy BMV. What is BMV, Suresh, if you care to share? Okay, how about the rest of you guys? While Suresh is probably typing out his response, how about the rest of you guys? Monthly rental versus mortgage. Okay, great. Yes. So you want to make money from from real estate, you get monthly rental, but you also have mortgage. Okay, great. Or below market value. Nice. Okay. So Suresh is buy below market value. And how else? Anyone else has any ideas how you make money from real estate? Oh, okay. So if I'm not seeing responses, it's either you're not hearing me or you really have no idea what real estate can do for you or how real estate works, which is fine. This webinar is actually designed in a way that is simple to understand. It is suitable even if you have not done real estate before. So, which is why for someone who's not done local real estate, it's fine. You can actually start out with US real estate. Right, so and it's perfectly fine. It's going to work as well, because we will show you how we have done it for our investors and make it easy for you guys. Okay, is that something you're looking out for, right, in terms of making it easy? Because I know people have this worry about, if I'm going to invest in an overseas place, especially in the US, in this case it would be like almost 12 hours or maybe more. It's going to be difficult, it's going to be complex, right? If you want to look for something that's going to help you make your life easy and simple, right, type for me easy in the chat, so I know this is something also you're looking out for. So these are a few things that you're going to be discovering today, how we're going to do it for you guys, right? Type for me easy if that is what you actually are looking out for. All right, so this says easy. I hope the rest of you want it easy as well. Vincent says easy. Yes, easy. Easy. All right, easy with a slang, with an accent. Easy. All right, so Vincent, I got it. We want this to be as easy as possible for our investors, and those of you who want to start out doing real estate in the US, I'm going to show you how that works. Okay, so reality is, most of you who are in here and you've invested before, especially if you're saying you've already done your local markets, or maybe some of you are in the stock markets, or I'm not sure what else you may be investing in. Most people, when they want to come into an investment type of webinar or workshop or whatever that may be, right, this is actually what we have figured out after some time dealing with people that we've spoken to. What they really want, it really boils down to this, is how to make more money from your investments in the shorter period of time. Right? Does this make sense? If it makes sense to you, type yes. So I know that this is actually what you're looking out for as well. Okay, type yes in the chat. So Dory says yes. Farhani say yep. Okay, great. The rest of you guys, is this what you're looking out for? Because for me, at the end of the day, if I have some money that I want to invest, this is exactly what I'm looking out for. I want to make more money with that money that I already have. I want to make it grow in the shortest period of time. And this is what is important. Why? Because yes, Suresh, you mentioned about risk. Of course, there will be risk. So we are very used to the idea that higher returns equals to higher risk, right? Or lower returns, lower risk. There may be a mix. So we want to show you how US real estate actually is a good mix of both high returns and relatively lower risk. Okay, so US real estate is actually one of those few vehicles that we have found that can actually put you in that unique quadrant of high returns and lower risk, and we'll show you exactly how that works in a bit. Okay, so for me is this: I have money, I want it to grow faster, and I want it to grow more in a shorter period of time, because we all have limited time frame and timeline. Okay, before I get here, I want to find out from you guys, what kind of timeline do you have? Okay, and by timeline I mean is this. Okay, so don't think I know timeline sounds a bit strange, but for me this is what I'm talking about. I have a timeline of about 20 years before I retire. Okay, which means where I will hit the age of 60, and I decide that I don't want to work so hard. I want to enjoy the fruits of my labor and let my money actually pay for my expenses upon retirement. Okay, so which means I have about 20 years timeline, so you guys can guess my age. And that's the amount of time that I need to grow my investments. Okay, so timeline becomes very important because it puts you in perspective, in the right context as to how you the kind of timing that you have to play, okay, to grow your investments. Okay, so I want to hear from you guys. Let me know. Type in the chat for me, how much time do you have to reach your goals? It may not necessarily be retirement. It could be something else. It could be for some of you, maybe to send your children to university, so you need to grow your money. For some of you, it may be because you just need to start a business. You need to grow some bases, and maybe some of you you want to start traveling the world. You know, you need some money and you want to grow your money. So let me know, what kind of timeline do you have? For me, it's 20 years. How about the rest of you guys? Type in the chat so we know where each other is at. This I think this information may not be so sensitive if you want to share. Less than 10 years. So Suresh, you have less than 10 years. Okay. How about the rest of you guys? Ruby has 20 years. Okay, great. Quite similar. So Vincent has 10 years. Anyone else? Farhani, 5 years. Okay, so you have a very short time frame. So you realize that the shorter a time you have, the more important it is that your money grows faster, right? So Valentina has 8 years. Okay, Valentina, welcome. I think you just joined us. So we have 8 years, sort of like you're mentioning 8 years to sort of like grow your money. Everyone has a financial goal, right? So, but when it comes to investing, there will always be problems, right? I think Suresh already mentioned one of it being risk. And I want to also identify a few problems that we may face when it comes to investing in real estate. And this is some of it that we have identified. So people we've spoken to, clients that we have served, one of the most top issues that they have problems with when it comes to investing in real estate, especially right in the context of real estate, will be capital, right? We've mentioned this just shortly before. Capital is something that people have issues with. So a lot of the time, people say that, okay, the moment I get my salary, I spend almost all of it for my expenses, to pay my bills, to pay for my mortgages and things like that, so I don't have enough capital. So this one, capital, is something that a lot of people struggle with. So in order for you to build that level of capital, this is something that we can't help you with, but we can help you to, of course, point you towards areas where you can actually learn about how to put aside money in that level of discipline, where you can put aside some money to a point where you get a comfortable enough sum that you can start to invest. And if at this current context right now, if you have some money already to invest, right, so you're in a good place, you can start to realize where we can start to choose where do you want to put your money, right? You're going to give the best growth that you can, right, within the timeline you have. Point number two, issues that we always have is that people always tell us that they do not have the time. Okay, it's because most of you here probably have your own job or your own businesses, and you are just too busy to be dealing with investments to manage, and real estate being a vehicle that has an actual asset in place. A lot of the time you will need actual time and management to take care of your investments. Okay, maybe at this stage, can some of you just let me know how many of you are actually working, or how many of you are running businesses? If you're working, type in working. If you're running business, then type a business. I want to see what are you guys doing. So Fahani, working? Okay. Rest of you guys, working, business? Doris, business? Awesome. Suresh, business? Okay. And okay, so especially when you are having your own business, right? So you know there's the up times, the down times, and it's very important, especially when after COVID happened, you realize that if having a reserves that has been growing. Imagine if you were in business for 10 years and you never put any kind of money aside for investment and for it to grow, that would be quite a wasted opportunity, right? So if you can actually put it in a place where it can grow steadily over time, that would have sort of like given you a good buffer when you're facing downtimes in your business. And it probably gonna apply the same for people who are employed and working. We are hearing, I think already in the headlines, a lot of talk about inflation, about interest rate hikes, and things are going to get more expensive. And it becomes a lot more important now in this very moment now that we have an investment that's working for you guys, because what people are saying right now, in the next 1 to 2 years, there might be a recession and things like that. So this is where your investments come in handy, that might be able to help you buffer, right, some of the downtimes. Okay. So the last thing is we have a lot of options out there, and in a way, it's a good thing, right? When you have so many options in today's context, because of things like technology and fintech, retail investors can come into the picture and start to buy stocks very easily for a fraction of the price, right? You don't need to be spending a whole lot of money. So if you are buying like what stocks that's Amazon or Google at 2,000 plus, you can just buy a fraction. Maybe you can even spend $100. You can actually be investing, right? But this is a lot of the time can be confusing for people because they do not know how to navigate the market. And what else is actually popular right now? Can some of you share with me? What do you know that's very popular right now that people are investing in the markets, other than the traditional stocks and shares? Any of you guys investing in anything else outside of real estate? Share with me. Okay, what we have is people always talk to us about things like crypto, and related to crypto will be NFTs, right? Ruby pointed out, yeah, exactly. So NFT is being very popular, right? So now we have the whole new metaverse. It's something that maybe some people feel they're being left out. It's more for the younger generation. Well, the reality is the market will move with or without you. Okay, and why we love to stick to real estate is because it is easy to understand, it is traditional, it makes a lot of sense. You don't need to figure out things like all this whole technological advancement that's going to confuse you. So real estate is actually very simple. It is as I think Suresh mentioned earlier, you buy it at a lower price and you sell it at a higher price. That's where you make your money. That's as simple as it is. Okay, right. So I want to move on. What we really want to do is to actually solve all of these problems. Okay, and so that you can actually make this bottom line, which is to make your money grow faster and grow more. Right. So that's what we want to help you do this. Okay. So in today's session, this is where we're going to show you. Right. Okay. I want to share with you a short video from Ms. Serinki and how we've helped her invest in US real estate. And this video will give you an idea of what we do for our clients. So Ms. Serinki has been with us since 2018 or 2019. She's still with us. She has a portfolio already with through Noble Sky. We're managing a portfolio for her. This video is going to give you a little bit of a context and idea of what we do for our investors. I want you to take a quick listen and later let me know what you think.
Hi, I'm Serene. I used to be a banker dealing with investments, and I handed over more than 100 million worth of funds from my high net worth clients. So I'm actually pretty exposed to all kinds of investments. But from young, actually, I'm also very passionate about investments and always look around for good opportunities. So when I heard about this opportunity from Noble Sky, I felt that it was an interesting idea, the way they did it. So me and my husband decided to invest more than 250,000 into our investments. And I would say that I'm pretty happy with so far with what I see. We have some in near Niagara Falls, and some near New York City, I believe, because we participated in a few. And I think there was also a private auction that was conducted for us. So I'm very pleased with the service, and then I think we managed to get some good buys. And I personally went down with the Noble Sky team on the US tour to see how it's actually done. So it was very interesting, and they really followed to what they have said. It's a very disciplined way of buying US properties. So I'm happy with how it's handled. And actually, one of the projects currently is being the property which I personally saw when I went to the US. It was called Dom Blush. It's actually being rented as an Airbnb property, and that has been giving us decent rental income. Every month we'll be receiving some returns. So I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah. Okay, actually I went for the course that Noble Sky conducted as well. I mean, they actually show hand and let you know everything that you need to know. I would say actually the whole process is not that easy, but however, Noble Sky, they made it easy for us, and I leave it to them really to handle the rest. They got their CPA, they have their team of people.
Right, so this is part of a longer video, but I just want to stop there. Right, so if you have listened into what Ms. Serinki has, how she's been involved with us, I want you to share with me what are one or two things which caught your ears, which you or caught your eyes in terms of what she had to say? Can you type in the chat for me one or two things which you thought you liked about what she has to say about investing in the US with Noble Sky? Right, take a moment, just a few seconds. I hope you were actually tuning in. Share with me what one or two things that you like about what Miss Serene has to say about investing in US. Have several properties. Okay, right, nice. So what else caught your attention? Different locations. Okay. Anyone else was paying attention? Transparency and easy. Okay, good. Thanks, Doris. She mentioned about cost, yeah. So there was actually a workshop which we used to do. So this was pre-COVID. Miss Serene actually attended a workshop that we did, and it was a free workshop. As we mentioned, we don't sell courses or workshops. That's not how we make money. Yep. What else caught your attention? Ruby said Airbnb. Nice, nice. Anyone else has a thought about the video? I hope you guys heard it because she said a lot of things, right? So I was hoping that you're tuning in so you can actually capture things that will be of interest to you. Okay. All right, so I'm going to move on. So these are a few things which she's mentioned, correct? And you realize a lot of the things is that one of the things that she has to mention is that we actually help her manage a portfolio for her. All right, so this is how we do it for you guys as well. If you decide to invest in US real estate, so we make it easy for how people can actually invest in real estate. She's based in Singapore as well, so it will work even if you're in Malaysia, even if you are in Hong Kong, it will work at the same time. All right. Okay, so I'm going to move on.
Hi.
So if you actually have someone or a company, in this case, Noble Sky International, who's managing your portfolio for you, we're doing like how Ms. Serene mentioned, how we have sort of like identified for her good properties as giving her good returns, all right? And it's going to help you grow your investment and towards your financial goals, right? Let me know what is the value of you being able to learn this. Okay, and for me, how I derive this value is knowing that it's going to help me towards my retirement. Okay, and that number for me, if it's going to help me towards my retirement, that number for me is 1.5 million Sing dollars. Okay, so what I'm this value when I learn about like what when I first met Noble Sky International, and I learned that okay, real estate in the US is going to help me. I realized it's going to help me towards my goal of $1.5 million. Okay, how about the rest of you guys? Okay, this will help to put into context. You've told me time frame that you have, timeline. Then now let me know what is the financial number that you have in mind. Okay, if you haven't really thought about it, just give me a rough figure so we know where you are at, and then let's see if this whole US real estate thing can fit into your plans. Okay, what is that number for you? Come, let's share. Don't be shy. It's a very small group today, so we're just gonna make this a little bit informal and just enjoy the session together. Maybe you can get to know each other a little bit better as well, right? Farhani says USD 1 mil, PD USD 2.5 mil. Okay, so Farhani, for 1 mil, based in, you mentioned you were in Malaysia, right? So I think 1 mil will be towards retirement, is it? If you guys can share, if you're not too shy, of course, you can let me know what this is for. Okay, Farhani is for retirement. Great. So 2 mil, 5 mil, Suresh says 3 mil. So are these towards your retirement numbers, or are these some other goals that you have? If there are something else outside retirement, some people want to do it for their family and things like that, you can go ahead and just type in here. So I get to know you guys a little bit better. Funny retirement, nice. Okay, so I think that is something that towards for foundation, Valentina, very nice. Yeah, and I love that whole idea. The fact that we want to grow our money, it's not just for ourselves, right? Because we all have this dream that if we have a lot more money with extras, we can actually help more people. And I love this fact coming from Valentina. Thank you so much for sharing. We need money to help people, right? So this I will be so grateful if through US real estate you actually be able to help more people, and maybe some way or another we can actually all benefit from the efforts of everyone else out there. This is nice. I want to help our children pay for education. So Vincent, Children's education, yes. So I do have 3 kids. I'm not sure where that slide went to, where I was supposed to share about my family. I have 3 kids, and the same thing, Vincent. I want to do that because I want to grow an investment as well, so that firstly I can send my children to a school that they want to go. Okay, and the next thing is that I can leave a legacy. When I'm gone, me and my wife are gone, we actually have some amount of money that we can hand over to them to give them a head start. And most importantly for me is that while I'm still alive, me and my wife, we're not going to burden our children. We're not going to burden the society because we will be self-sufficient. We have money that's growing that can help sustain ourselves, right? So we don't have to actually do this. We don't have to bother our children, our people around us to support us. And to me, that's very important. So these are a few things which becomes very important as in terms of the value of why you want to do this as an investment. So I hope we will be able to be part of your plans, right? These are very awesome plans that you have, and we can help to contribute to that. Okay, so this is in summary what we do. People are asking like, who's Noble Sky International? What is a company based in Singapore got to do with the US real estate, right? So this is what we do. We are not a real estate agency where we are realtors. We have inventories of properties to sell to you. So right now in my pocket, there's nothing. I've got no properties that end of today I want to sell to you. Hey, look, there's a property down in Florida I want you to buy. There isn't any like that. So that's not how we operate. What we do is we facilitate the whole process of buying for you, and then we manage the whole investment for you. Okay, so that's how what I mean by we make it easy for you. Okay, you will be owners of the properties that you buy. Okay, the next thing is we acquire these properties through a few areas, and this part of our strategies is okay is to go through government auctions, direct sellers, as well as wholesalers. And this gives us an advantage because, as how Suresh has earlier mentioned, allows us to buy properties below market value, and that is really, really important as a strategy. Okay, and if you guys want to just check us out, we are headquartered in Singapore under the name of Noble Sky Institute Private Limited. If you're wondering why it has the word institute there, is because that's how we started. Actually, based in 2014, we started at Noble Sky Institute to educate the market about US real estate. Okay, we weren't out there doing what we are doing today. We started out going to different countries. Then was a model where we thought, okay, we get people to pay us to learn, and then they go out and do it themselves. We later realized over time, over a few years, that this was a model that's not going to work because people may have the knowledge, but then they don't have access to the resources and the kind of expertise in the US to be able to do this for themselves. So we realized that we needed to pivot and become a full service provider to help people, from step number 1 all the way to the final step of making that money in US real estate. Okay, so this only makes sense, and this can only work if we are also based in the US. So in the US, we are known as Noble Sky Core LLC. That's what we're registered at in South Carolina. Okay, and over there, that's where we have our crew and our property management crew, as well as the rehab crew that's working on the properties. Okay, so this is how we're gonna help you work. And all of this happens only because of the founders of Noble Sky International in 2014, Ralph Sain and I, Sarah. They are business partners as well as spouses, right? So through the business, they of course got married, and then they're doing a lot of good things right now, helping people to invest in US real estate. We started out from them, and here we are today. A 20-man strong. I think certainly we have about 24 staff in all, including Ralph and I, who are supporting the client base back in Asia. All right, so we have right now properties in the US that are being managed both on the client front in Asia, all right, as well as on the ground in the US as well. Okay, so here we are at. Here's where we are at. The biggest rule of real estate investing is when you make money when you buy and not when you sell. So this is back to where Suresh actually mentioned, in order to make money from real estate in our context is to make money the moment you buy. Okay, and this makes I will demonstrate what this means more. Okay, if some of you may be wondering why do we want to even talk about US real estate, because it has a lot of advantages that probably you're not going to get in your own local market. I'm going to go through this very quickly. Probably you are here, you might have done some research already. First and foremost, the market size and abundance of inventories. This is this is because if you were to do a very quick Google, in the US right now, the value of real estate in the US alone is about 36 trillion, and this is probably last year's number. Because of inflation and value of things going up, probably it's gonna be more than 36 trillion dollars worth of real estate. And the US, because it's so vast, there's so many areas where you can actually find good properties to buy. Okay, so in Singapore, for example, the whole country is just so small that everywhere is just so limited, the number of properties, right? And maybe if you're in Malaysia, not everywhere is of good demand, right? So if you want to talk about good properties, maybe you're talking about the KL area, maybe you talk about some areas in JB. This is where there's a lot of demand. Otherwise, outside of these areas where there's a lot of economic activities and things like that, you may have properties, but they may not be the most desirable for in terms of investments, in terms of making money, right? Point number two, US real estate is a lot more affordable than local markets. And this was surprising for me, because I always thought before I got involved in real estate in the US that properties in the US are going to be very expensive. And I realized that I was pretty surprised when Ralph actually shared with me is that then in 2018, the average transaction value of properties in the US was only about $250,000. And $250,000 is cheaper than small public housing in Singapore. Okay, and if any of you who are from Singapore, or maybe think Vincent from Hong Kong, you know that 250K was not going to get you anything. It's not going to get you any real estate in Singapore or even in Hong Kong, because these areas are just so expensive. And in the US, the transaction value, which means people buy and sell in the average of 250K. That was back in 2018. So now, because of recent economic developments, because of the inflation and things like that, the market has continued to jump across in the past few years, even with COVID. And now I think the last numbers we're looking at is about $375,000 in the market. So that's the average transaction value. But this is still a lot more affordable than a lot of local real estate, right? So maybe you guys want to put in context in KL, in Malaysia, the for a premium condo, for example, how much that's going to cost. To me, affordability is what makes a lot of sense in the US. Okay, ease of acquisition. This was the make or break for me. I will share with you how we do this, because when Ralph has shown me how we can do real estate investing, and I was very interested in the numbers. It's going to help me grow my money and things like that. But one thing I had to tell Ralph is that, look, I have 3 children, young ones. I'm not going to be able to fly into the US every now and then to take care of my properties. Okay, and this was the deal maker for me, because Ralph said that, look, you don't have to travel to the US at all, because it's going to be fully managed for you, and you can do everything simply over the internet. Right? How many of you guys like the fact that you don't have to fly to the US? Give me a thumbs up, okay? Or say yes in the chat, so I know, like, yeah, this is something that exactly what I want to find out, because I don't want to, have to fly 23 hours, 24 hours just to figure this out on your own. Right? Suraj, yes, I like to visit but not work. Yeah, exactly. So you want to go there and enjoy, right, the fruits of your investments, and not to go there to have to manage your work and let someone else do it for you. Okay. Point number 4, land ownership. This was surprising for me. When you go to the US and you buy a nice land, you buy a nice house, sit on a plot of land, guess what? You are the owner of the land as well. It doesn't matter even if you're a foreigner, you can be a land owner over there. Okay, and when you own the land, it means that whatever is on the land, which is the house, belongs to you. Whatever is below the land, maybe if you can find some gold or some oil or whatever that may be, will belong to you as well, because you're the land plot owner, which also means you have a lot of flexibility to add more value to the land. You guys get this? Okay, so when you can own the land, which means you can do a few other things. Okay, if you decide you want to, I'm not sure if this is allowable, but yeah, if you decide to maybe raise chickens, or it's a bit like build a kampong house, right? Or raise goats. I'm not sure if you can do that. You can actually, get more creative in adding value to your area. Okay, because you own the land, right? Price to value ratio. This makes a lot of sense for if you're in a market that's very expensive. For every dollar that you spend on US real estate versus your local market, you're going to get a lot more real estate in the US. And that is part of the strategy of how you get to grow your money more, right? So you get to own more real estate, which means you're holding on to more assets. That means your value grows more, even with the same amount of money that you spend. Okay, so these are a few things that about US real estate. Okay, so I want to show you now, finally, right? I know you guys have been waiting to see what we do exactly in terms of making money. So strategy number one is flipping. Any of you have any idea what flipping is? Okay, so in our context in Asia, it's not flipping prata. So in Malaysia, it's roti canai, right? We're not talking about flipping roti canai or prata. Here it's about flipping houses. Vincent, you're hungry. Okay, this is how a flipping strategy looks like. Okay, we buy a property in the market here. This is a property in Walden, New York. It's an actual property owned by our investors. In fact, this property is no longer owned because it has been sold off. We got this property for $42,000 in the market. Okay, so digest this. 42K, we got it from the market. We put in 65K of rehab and other expenses. We spent a total of only 110K. But at that point in time when we bought this property, we already knew that the market can fetch about $230,000. Okay, so this is where, remember the earlier strategy, the earlier principle which I told you, right? Which is we make money on the buy. So this is how we make money on the buy. First, we will reverse engineer the value of the property. So which we know in the market after doing our research and analysis, that's what Noble Sky has an expertise in. We run all of the local deep data, deep level research to know that, okay, this property can fetch 230K. Now, if we want to make money, how do we do this? So we buy this property at only 110K, all in, so which means the rehab means renovation works and things like that. It will actually give us an immediate equity gain of 126K. So in this case, if you take 236, you less off 110, you get 126K. So this group of investors who are involved in this property earn 126,000 immediately on paper. So when it was eventually sold off at 215K, they made 95% returns. Valentina's flipping shows, right? So on Netflix. So I would like to caution you a little bit, Valentina, and those of you who are looking at here, what you see on TV are what you call sensational, dramatized. So they make it look like so nice and sexy and easy, right? A few weeks and you can get a whole house ready. So the realities on the ground is that it usually takes a lot more than that. And there are some complexities which may be involved. Things like city codes, right? Things like in city inspectors, they have to come in, they have to make sure that you're not building things that are not allowed, not authorized on in the house, right? So you need to follow a few things. And then there are other things like seasons, say snow. If it's snowing on the outside, you can't do rehab works. There's a lot of things that come into play that doesn't make it look as sexy as what you see on TV. Okay, and Vincent says, how long does it take for a flip? Very good question, because remember I spoke to you guys about making more money faster, right? So if you want to make a lot of money through US real estate, work needs to be done. And for flipping, when the work is done, it takes between 9 to 15 months. Okay, and this is because of the factors which I've shared with you. Of course, the scale of how repairs that need to be done have to be taken into consideration, and all the other factors coming in. Okay, so we generally tell people it's 9 to 15 months. Okay, so I hope, Vincent, I hope that answers your question. Okay, so this is how we do flipping. How many of you like flipping? If you like flipping, the numbers that you see here, type flipping. Okay, type flipping in the chat. So I know this is a strategy that you like. Okay, and in order to do this, okay, great. So I love that you guys are still listening in and responding, right? In order to do this, okay, we need to do the works. So this is an interior view of the property. So when we got this property, we got this actually through government auctions. Suraj, you mentioned about taxes. Yes, I will cover that slightly later. I hope you're okay to just hold out for a bit. So the property where we acquire from auctions, government auctions, usually don't look great on the inside. A lot of it is problematic. You can see the insides are not necessarily in the most livable position, in the most livable condition. For Hani, rehab means renovation. In our local context, means renovation works. So rehab is equals to renovation. So when the house is like this, the ceiling on the topmost floor under the roofing needed works and things like that. So that's where Noble Sky comes in. We send in our crew, our rehab crew, to actually make good of all the damages so that it can be looking like this. So this is after the repairs. Okay, so this is what you see right now, the photos after repairs. Then the city inspector will come in, take a look at the property inside. They will inspect and make sure everything is up to code before we can actually sell it to the market for profits. Okay, so who are the buyers of these houses? Anybody has any idea who buys these properties after we repair them? Anyone has any idea? So this property, we made it look good, and then we repair. Now it's livable. Who buys it? Anyone has any idea? Type in the chat. People who want to live in them. Vincent, yes. Anyone else has any idea who will buy these properties? Finally, back to the locals, Americans. Yeah, okay. So you guys got all of this right. So people who want to live in them. So they may not necessarily be the Americans. They could be. I mean, they could be foreigners. They could be people who want to buy in for rental for investment. But most of the time, people who buy in are the locals. Okay. Finally, you got it right. And the unique thing about the US market is that a large part of housing needs in the US is actually based on private enterprise. Private enterprise, what that means is basically means the government is not so much like maybe like Singapore or Malaysia, where the government builds public housing, right? So in the US, it's a lot has got to do with private enterprise, which means developers can come in and build houses for the people, and they would look at that as a favor that you're doing for the local citizens. So if you as a foreigner, you come in, you come in and then you repair, you buy this property, you repair, you make it good, and then now the locals can stay in. You're actually doing a favor for the local, and you're actually doing a favor for the government because you're helping to provide housing for the local people. And this goes back to part of what Suresh was asking about taxes, right? So that's actually because we do this, providing houses for the locals. There are actually some tax breaks that's quite interesting for people who actually buy this as an investment as well. So Suresh, to answer your question very quickly about foreign purchases, the answer is no. There isn't any restriction for foreigners to buy properties. And of course, there needs to be a strategy to this. There needs to be a proper local legal setup for this to be done. And I will cover that in the next few slides. Okay. At this stage, I want to share with you how Mr. Richard Janey, he's one of our investors, has all been with us since 2018 when we opened up. How we helped him buy into a portfolio of 4 properties. So that property you saw earlier, he's one of the owners. Okay, so there was a property in Orange County, New York, and he put in his own capital of $45,000. It's part of a group capital contribution of $270K. But these 4 properties has a total value of $760K. Okay, so which means him being a part of this group of investors who came in to buy these 4 properties, the value of his properties actually increased immediately by 273%. Okay, you guys get this? Because we buy these properties at such low prices, the increase is like that. Okay, so these are the kind of things that you realize. Okay, so already on this particular slide, you can note one thing, right? There's this term called group capital contribution. So you realize Mr. Richard Janey here, he didn't come in on his own. He came in, he didn't have, remember one of the things earlier we spoke about is about limited capital. So he had that amount, he only had 45K at that point in time to buy into properties in the US. So he didn't come in alone. We make arrangements for him to come in with a group to pool the funds together and then buy into this awesome portfolio. So you guys get it? I will share that more about that a little bit more, right? So strategy number 2 is rental. Okay, so rental, I think a lot of us are very familiar with this. Well, how we do is very simple. We get a single family home like this, seated on a plot of land. It's a very simple looking house. What we do is we make it good, and then we get a tenant coming in, and then you rent it out, right? So again, the same strategy or the same principle comes in. We reverse engineer the numbers. We know this property can fetch in the market about 145K. This one was a good deal, which because we bought for the investors through the auctions as well, at only 56,004. After all of the rehab, 25K and all, we spent only about 86,400. Right? So 86.4 is what we spend, but we know that immediately the group of investors here gain how much? They gain 58,006 in equity, which means on paper, they take their potential gain if they were to sell the house. But this house was not to be sold. This wasn't a flipping house. This is a house for rental. Okay, so this was gonna get the investors about $1,000 a month. This will give a rental ROI of 13.89% annual basis, right? So understand, a property for rental will look like this. we got from the auction that was as well, it looks horrid, right? It looks horrible. So if you see, this house was not originally, you can see here it's blue. The original color of the house was actually beige, and the interior was very, very bad. Okay, so we needed to do a lot of rehab works in order to make it look good. Okay, so you can see someone who's climbing through the window. That's actually Ralph. So on behalf of the investors, we will come in and access the property that we have acquired for the investors. And when we bought it through the auction, the government auction, the government said that, hey, look, we don't have keys to the unit. The property now belongs to you. You can go in any way you like. Okay, so of course, Ralph chose the least expensive way, which is to go through the windows instead of breaking doors. Right, so you had to repair windows, probably going to cost cheaper than the doors. Okay, so this is, again, we send in our rehab crews to make the property look good. Remember, we want to put this up for rental, so it has to be in livable condition, then people want to pay, and then we make it look good. We put in the furnitures and furnishings so that people will come in and stay for rental. How many of you guys like rental as a strategy? You guys like it? Just type rental for me in the chat. Type rental for me in the chat if rental is something that you actually like. Vincent, so you like rental. Anyone else like rental? I love rental. So you guys seen earlier when I introduced myself, I have a few 5 properties. So I'm actually involved in rental, as well as flipping, as well as Airbnb, which I'm going to be sharing with you in a bit. Okay, so this is how we do for rentals. Very simple, right? How many of you at this stage are confused or find this complex, real estate in the US? Or do you think it's all good? Okay, if you understand so far what has gone on, then you realize actually, hey, look, US real estate is not that complex. It's not that confusing. Okay, but of course, I know questions in your mind would be, how do you actually do this, right? Because houses are houses. We all live in one, so we know what house looks like. So this is another example of rental. I will run through quickly, very quickly. So the numbers look like this: a very simple house. This is actually a 3-bedder, 1-bath in Port Arthur, Texas. There's a market value of 138,000, acquired in the market for a total expense of 68.4. Okay, so the owner will have an equity of about 70,500, gives an annual rental of about 9,000. You get rental ROI 13.4. So it's really nice for rental properties. You not only make money from the rental that you get, right? So let's say down the road, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, up to you, because you're the owner of the property. You decide, okay, I don't want to rent anymore. I want to liquidate. I want to sell the house. You're still going to be able to make that capital gain from selling that property down the road. So you guys get it? So you can make money 2 ways. This is partly why I love rental as well. So I'm getting my passive income on a monthly basis. And then at the same time, you can actually go into make money when you sell. Can you get financing? Okay, great question. So Suresh, this I want to address for you a little bit. So financing is in terms, if you're looking at the banking and financial institutions, the main concern about banks is that whether you have the ability to pay back, right? So they need you to have a credit profile. For someone who's new, who's coming into the US for the first time and wanting to buy properties, you do not have a credit profile. So what we do for our investors is, for a start, to come in as a group. If you don't have enough capital, come in as a group and pay in cash. Okay, so you pay in cash. And then let's say you go into a rental property like this. Once the property is generating income, so it's an income producing asset for a good period of maybe 12 months, then you can bring this property to the bank. Now the bank is more secure. The bank will look at it as knowing that, okay, Suresh is coming in, he wants to borrow money, and he actually has an asset that you can collateralize. So you can use the house as a collateral because it's income producing. Then you can refinance this property and get some financing out. So you get that concept, right? So to build your credit profile, if you do not have one because you're not a US citizen, what you do is you create an income producing asset, and then you down the road, you bring it to the market, to the banks or to the financial institutions, then you use that as collateral. Okay, that's our strategy for investors. Okay. So this is Mr. Kamaruzzaman Ghaffar from Singapore. He enjoys rental as well. So he came in 2018. He started out with flipping of properties. So as I mentioned, after he received his profits from his flipping properties, he decided that he wanted to add on rental to his investments. So you realize all of the people we featured in the slide so far, they have been with us since like 2018, 2018, 2019. They've been with us for a good 3-4 years now. And they are still with us. Reason being, they have continued to enjoy the growth from the investments, and they are building their portfolio. So they're building more and more properties in their portfolio. That's how you build your wealth. That's how you can get closer to your income goals. So remember, some of you mentioned you have 20 years, some have got 10 years, some have got 8 years, 5 years. So you decide when you want to, finally liquidate everything. So you can you can decide if you want to go with flipping or rental or a mixture of those, okay, to get towards your goals. So strategy number 3 is Airbnb, and I love this so much because this is an evolving market, and it is a trend that's probably not going to go away. It's in the favor of investors right now. Suresh, any lock-in period? So I would say there isn't a lock-in period because you are the owner of your properties. Okay, so if you decide that I wanna sell it off already, right? Then you can go ahead and do that. You don't. It's unlike some level of investment where there's a maturity period, right? So this isn't a maturity. There isn't a maturity period or lock-in period. You decide because you are the owner of the properties. Okay, that is one thing which we love about this investment. It's secure because you are the owners, not Noble Sky. The properties are in your name. Okay, so that's how it works. So Airbnb, this is how it works. When in 2019, this was property in Don Blush. If you saw the video from Miss Serene Key earlier, she mentioned about property Don Blush. We actually in 2019, before COVID, we've been bringing investors into the US. If you guys love taking what do you call that? Holidays in the US, as well as going around looking at the US as well. We bring people in on a yearly basis on what you call a learning journey. And then it was in December or November of 2019, we had 15 investors from Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam joining us. And they went touring a few places and they saw this property, they loved it, they fell in love with it because this property was in very, very good condition. Okay, and the numbers checked out really well. They said that, okay, this property didn't require any kind of repairs, but it was a bit more expensive. It was in an A-grade neighborhood. And this was through what you call motivated sellers. Okay, this property in its very pristine condition was actually owned by a group of elderlies who already passed on. So this property was being sold by their children who don't stay in Houston, Texas. So they're not going to stay there, do what they want to do. They want to liquidate. They want to sell this property, and it was being sold below the market value. And we ran the numbers for the investor. They were saying they wanted to buy. We told them that, okay, look, this area is going to give you good Airbnb returns. Okay, so we told them, okay, it's gonna market value about 370. We can buy at 270. That's what was being offered. You realize here there's no rehab cost. If you're looking at the numbers, there's no rehab because this property was in great condition. What we needed to do for Airbnb is basically put in furnishing. So there's only furnishing costs. So we spent 285K. We know we have some equity, quite healthy, 85,000. And we projected at 45K rental or Airbnb income for them. It's 15.79%. Okay. So when we got all the furnitures in, this is how it looks like. The property on the inside is huge. Okay. Our strategy for Airbnb is basically the property must be big enough to house 12 to 16 people. And why that is the case is so that we can actually charge a higher nightly rate. So when people realize that, okay, instead of having to get 3, 4, 5 hotel rooms for a huge family getaway, you can just stay in this one big house and get everyone in. Okay, so we can charge a higher nightly rate. So when we did this and we listed this property on Airbnb, this was what happened. Okay, the booking started to come in. You realize here's about, you had 10 guests coming in for 4 nights. This is 2167. Okay, and then another one coming in for 4 nights at 2090. We have 2 nights 1115, and then the booking started coming in more and more. So realize we were averaging about 500 to 600 per night. Right, so the bookings started coming in and in and in. So we did very, very decently for the investors in this particular property for Airbnb. In the year 2020, we started listing it out. We earned 20,298 from the month of August to December. That's 5 months. And then for January to December 2021, we did 52,000. So you guys remember what was the projected income for this property? Remember the numbers earlier on? Any of you caught it? What was the projected Airbnb income? We told them. We told the investor, okay, look, if you want to buy this property here and we do put it Airbnb, we're going to project a certain amount. Yeah, right. So Vincent got it right. So 45K was what we projected for them, but in a whole year of 2021, we did 52K. So that was better. Awesome. So Farhani is asking the right question, which is who manages these properties? So yours truly, which is Noble Sky International, is has our team to manage your guest experiences, the whole Airbnb concept, right? So I think you're asking like who's gonna take care of this in guests coming in, who's gonna replenish the towels or the shampoo or the whatever it is in the house, the pots and pans or plates if they get broken. So it's Noble Sky International. We have the property management crew that comes in. So in the state of Houston, Texas, or in the state of Texas rather, we have most of our Airbnbs in this area because that's where our crew are concentrated in there, and they will come in and out to deal with the cleaning and things like that. Okay, so Noble Sky does it for you. So as an investor, you have a one-stop service provider, which is Noble Sky International, to handle your properties for you as well. So obviously, if you decide to come into your to the US and you decide you want to stay in your own Airbnb, that can be done as well, right? So in a way, you have your own holiday home, which you can stay in when you are over there. Okay. So total earnings within a 17 months period was 72K, and this gave a total of 26.95 rental yield. If you analyze this, it's about 19.02%. So the returns, if you have noticed so far, what have you noticed about the returns that we are doing for our investors? Any of you realize? Do you see 5%? Do you see 3% kind of returns? So you realize, yeah, Doris put it right. So it's our target for investors is always double-digit returns. And that is the strategy of how you can get to your investment numbers faster. If you're not doing double-digit returns, your growth is going to be very, very slow. All right. And in the investment world, double-digit returns are actually considered high returns. Okay, so earlier, Suresh was also asking, right, about risk. So to get double-digit returns mainly in let's say in the stock markets, it's usually a higher risk type of investment, and a lot of the time you can go up and down. So you realize one thing about real estate, especially in the US, it's not something that's volatile. It doesn't dive overnight kind of thing. Okay. In fact, real estate, as we know, it will appreciate over time, which is why you are in a secure position. And at the same time, the kind of returns that we are targeting for investors will always be in the double digits. Okay, so this is one of our investors from Indonesia, Mr. Majaldi. He loved Airbnb. He got his own capital of $30,000 to put into this Airbnb in Houston, Texas. It's very nice. It has a pool in there as well. But this whole property cost $300,000 to put in furnitures and everything in, right? So he only put in 30K. So he's part of this portfolio where you get a property that's producing an income. We're projecting a rental yield of about 21% for this particular property, and it's doing it has a portfolio value, which means on paper already he has about 8.3% in terms of growth. So right now this property is running, is doing better than expected in terms of Airbnb returns, and the investors as a group can decide when they want to maybe sell the property. So right now, if the property is peaking, maybe they decide maybe 1 year, 2 years now, they can sell off the property and make capital gains. How much is their RPG? How much is their RPGT? Suraj, if you don't mind, if you can sort of like expand what RPGT means, then I can maybe help to address that. Yeah, so this is how we do this. So again, if you love Airbnb, for example, you don't need to be coming in on your own. If you do have the capital, then by all means, you can be the solo owner. Real property gains tax. Okay. Property gains, if you're talking about rental, for example, right, it will be treated as an income tax. So that the income that you receive on a monthly basis will be counted as an income tax. So in terms of property gains is when you sell off the property, and that will only happen later. So again, that depends on the filing. When we do it, we do it for you. Okay, there's different brackets that we can actually show you. So I think Daisy or the team, when you can actually send, we'll send to you, Suresh, a resource where you can see, okay, what are the different tax brackets you can look at. And we also have tax simulations where you can actually get to know that a little bit more. Because I know you're interested to know about the tax, and you want to count your actual net returns, right? So you want to know your net returns. So obviously, when you put in all of the taxes, what we do is, as a company, on behalf of the investors, we do your tax filings for you. Okay, so that we want to reduce your tax liabilities as much as possible. And we do this, of course, in the legal sense, without getting anyone into any kind of trouble with the IRS. Okay. Okay, so moving on. So this is the big question. How do you legally own properties in the US and then to maximize your returns? So this is the structure. I hope any of you need a quick break right now, because I'm gonna end off this, gonna be the next 10 to 20 minutes, and then I'm gonna end off the webinar already. But this is the most important part of the webinar for you to understand the structure, and this is how you can actually start to go into US real estate. Any of you need any kind of break, or can I go on? Type a break, and if you do want a break, type break. Otherwise, you type go on, and I will continue. Please proceed. So break. Doris needs a break. Okay. Okay. I'm just gonna give you 2 minutes. Okay, to quickly do whatever you need to do. Okay, I'm gonna drink some water as well. So give yourself 2 minutes, drink water, and very quickly come back, maybe with paper and pen for you to be able to take notes as well. Okay, so I hope this is gonna be very useful for you. This is something that we don't usually share out with people, but this is something that you get for tuning in on a Saturday with us. Okay, 2 minutes. So 11:14 on my clock will be when you need to come back. Okay, so my clock now is 11:12. Oh, I realize my phone and my laptop has different timing. My phone says 11:10, but in any way, just give yourself 2 minutes and come back. Thank you. Okay, guys. You guys back yet? Let me know if you are back, because I didn't go away. I just needed to drink some water, and my team was actually just giving me feedback, saying they were asking me to blow my nose. It's kind of kind of funny. Yeah. I think the earlier part of the morning is usually for me. It's I have this sinus thing, right? I don't know any of you have it, where I just have a little bit of blocked nose, and it takes a little bit of the sun in the afternoon to sort of like dilute out allergies. It's not exactly allergies. It's just the morning part. Yeah, Vincent, thanks for asking. Okay, so I hope you guys are back. I'm gonna go into the important part of today. So this is how we set yourself up legally. Okay, so if you're coming in, okay, so I hope you guys are ready. If you have come back, and I hope you're tuning in here. So if you're coming in as an investor, whether a single investor, for example, if you have $500,000 and you want to go in, I think Suraj has mentioned to come in instead of a personal, you come in as a business entity. That's exactly how we do it. And the reason why we do that is because it helps to limit your liabilities. Okay, and when you come in, we set you up in this manner. We will set up an business entity for you. In this case, it will be ABC Inc. So if you're this investor, we set up for you ABC Inc. in the state of Wyoming, and then you want to buy a property in, say, the state of California. We will set up another buying entity for you called 456 LLC and buy into the flipping property. in San Francisco, for example. Okay, so how this works is very simple. In the state of Wyoming, why we choose Wyoming of all other 50 states, it's Wyoming is one of the few states in the US where you do not have state taxes. So Mr. Suresh, this one tax which we eliminate for the investors already. So you don't pay any taxes to the state, we pay only to the federal government. Okay, so you reduce one tax liability already. Okay, so ABC Inc. will be what you call your holding entity. 456 LLC, as you see here, is what you call your operating entity or your buying entity. Okay, that's where you buy the property. So income from the flipping when the property is sold will flow back into 456 LLC. Now 456 LLC is owned by ABC Inc. Okay, so I hope you guys get this picture. Okay, now another illustration. Maybe you decide to come in as a family. You want to put your children in as part of the portfolio, you can go ahead and do that. So usually if they're 18 and above, they can do the signatories. Otherwise, as a parent, you can sign on their behalf. Okay, so for example, you come in as a family with $150,000. Similarly, you will set up a holding entity in the state of Wyoming. Who does this? Noble Sky as a company does this for you. So you don't need to lift a finger in the sense. Okay, you need to sign the documents, but we will register for you in the state of Wyoming, and you can check that it has already been registered for you in the Wyoming's government websites. Okay. Okay. Vincent, I've explained that before this. So basically, in the state of Wyoming, you do not have state taxes. Okay, so you don't pay taxes to the state, and that helps you to reduce your tax liabilities. Okay, and so in this particular example, the buying entity or operating entity is 888 LLC, which we set up again for you on your behalf, this 888 LLC will be the one that's buying into the rental properties you can see here. So 150K will be funded into 888 LLC that buys the property in Niagara, New York, for example, in the state of New York. Okay, and any income that comes out from the rental property will flow back from 888 LLC and into QRT LLC, who is the owner of these properties. So remember, I told you guys the properties will be in your name. So this is how the flow of ownership is. So you guys see there's no Noble Sky in the picture. It doesn't belong to Noble Sky in any way. These properties belong to you. These properties, the title deeds will be issued to you, which means to the business entity. So in this case, it will be 888 LLC will take title to the property, and then it is this 888 LLC is owned by QRT. So you guys get the idea, right? So this is how you keep yourself secure in terms of the ownership. Now, remember we spoke about group. No, this is a partner. Again, if you want to buy, yes, I'm going to get that very quickly, Suresh. So this is just another example. You want to do both rental and flipping, can be done. You have, in this case, a certain amount of capital. You can split them, you decide, and then you go into one into rental, one into flipping. So you realize if you want to do both rental and flipping, you need to have two separate holding entity. In this case, ABC LLC for rental and XYZ Inc. for flipping. So two separate type of business and holding entities. Why? Because of taxation. Exactly because of taxation. Rental properties, the income is treated differently from flipping properties. So flipping properties, we talk about capital gains. For rental properties, we talk about income in terms of like annual income, right? So it's being treated differently. That's like personal income. So we need to separate the holding entities because at the filing, in terms of tax filing, you will be given different tax treatments in terms of the income that's coming in. So we separate them to keep it clean for you. We reduce your liabilities as much as possible in the tax, in terms of taxes. Okay, so here's the example in terms of group buy. So if you want to come in and then you realize, okay, I don't have enough capital to just buy property on my own. You're gonna combine your what do you call that? Your capital. You can do this as well. So for example, this group of investor has $30,000. They want to go into rental. They put up 30K here, and then another 30K in for flipping. Then you have other investors that have, when you pull together, you have more funds, right? So again, they will set up their own holding entities in the state of Wyoming. So we do all of this for the investors, and this is how it flows. Okay. So for example, to buy into this flipping property, $30,000, add on together with 150K with the other group of investors, you can then set up what we call the buying entity. and buying entity goes into buying this property worth $180,000, right? You get 30K plus 150K. This is the group, but so it could be a total of maybe 5 investors, 10 investors. It doesn't matter. So once all the funds are combined, it will be funding 123 LLC. So 123 LLC will then own the property in Jacksonville, Florida, in this example, 180K. So of course, any income that comes out from this property needs to be returned to the investors according to the amount of capital, the proportion of capital that you put in. So to be fair, right, it makes sense. So in this case, the XYZ Inc. has a 16.67% ownership of 123 LLC, and XXYY Inc. has 83.33%. So once the profit is made, property is sold as profits, then it has to flow back according to this proportion. You guys got it clear? Okay. Questions or not sure, just type in the chat and we'll address that. Okay, so similarly for rental, 30K add on together with 140K, you have 170,000 funds to buy into this rental property, for example, in Houston, Texas. Okay, and then any profits, right, on a monthly basis. So rental, you get your money back monthly. Okay, so I know at this stage people will be questioning, okay, so monthly basis, how do I get my money? So you need to have a bank account that as far as possible can receive USD. If you have only local bank account, it can work as well. You will of course incur the Forex rates in between. Okay, so if we Noble Sky will be the one that's managing the properties, right? So on a monthly basis, the rental is paid out to an account that is being handled by Noble Sky, and then we do the accounting and send out to you. Okay, so this amount will go back to the proportion of the capital that's being contributed by the different investors. Okay, so this is how it works. So this is in gist, very simply, how we do this. So remember, the buying entities or operating entities will be set up in the state where the property is located. So 777 LLC will be set up in the state of Texas. 123 LLC will be set up in the state of Florida. So you guys get this. So, but you don't have to worry about the setup because this is what Noble Sky does for you. You will be the signatories for these properties. Okay. Thanks, Doris, for sharing. So Wise.com is one of the solutions that we have for investors. You has a free USD dollar account, and you can actually receive your income on a monthly basis through the USD account as well. You get 100%, so which means money that we send, let's say if you were earning $1,000 in terms of the rental, we send 1,000 will arrive in your Wise USD account. Of course, when you decide to transfer that into your local account, say in Malaysia and Singapore, there'll be some processing fee. Okay, but it's not Wise fees are very, very manageable. Okay, so that's how it works. So at this stage, have you guys learned a lot? Have you guys benefited from what I've shared? If yes, let me know. Yes, type in yes, so I know you get that. You know you have actually learned quite a bit today. In the structure, the three different strategies. Okay, we have flipping, we have rental, we have Airbnb, and what I've just shown you is the structures, the legal structure of how you get set up and how you maximize your return. So this whole setup is done in a way that will reduce to maximize or optimize your tax liabilities as well. Okay, to reduce the tax liabilities. So we do that for you. So Farhani, you're asking, is each investor must first set up their own entity? Yeah, so when you say set up your own entities, yes. So Noble Sky will set it up for you. Can it be shared in a sense that, okay, if you have your own family members, yes, it can be shared within your family members. So for example, husband and wife, you come in and you have, you have shared funds, right? You want to come in, you can actually own this holding entity in the US together. So it can be named, this is, you want to put in your children's name, you can put in there as well. So that is what it means by shared. But for separate people, so say you have a business partner. Okay, you have a business partner, then you guys say, okay, we are doing business, we have we want to come in and do this together, right? But money is separate source of funds. Then we will not encourage a business partner to come in and share one business entity. Reason being, there is always a good chance that business partners over time might have conflicts, might have disagreements and things like that. And we don't want this to complicate their investments in the US. So we get them to set up separately. Okay, so that's how we do it for you guys. And then you can put in your own funds. Of course, we do have some clients who want to put in money coming in from their local business. So which means the funds are coming in from their local Sendirian Berhad, or they have their local private limited in Singapore and things like that. They want it to be one of the shareholders. Then a separate setup will be done for them. Okay, I think one of my team members shared about if there's a delay in rental payment. So somebody's asking in private about if there's a delay in rental payment, who will handle this. So basically, delay in rental payment, which means the tenant issues on the ground. So there's a tenancy agreement that's being signed. Noble Sky comes into the picture as well. Okay, we have to go in and then handle the tenant issues. So for example, if over time the tenant continues to not be able to pay, for whatever reason that may be, then the legal discourse have to come into the picture, right? So we come in and then we deal with the law, which if we have to evict the tenant, we will have to. So that is part of the risk of doing business, right? In real estate, for example, it's tenancy that the tenants can't pay. That's part of the risk. But a lot of the time, we will manage this for you, and you don't need to worry about that, having to worry about that on your own. Can you fund using crypto? We do not have that particular option right now, but we have been accepting crypto. But because in the US, we do not have a crypto account. But if you so decide that you want to do crypto, you have to fund it to a personal, to Ralph's account, his crypto wallet. You have to do it that way, and then we will transfer it out to our USD account for the purpose of purchasing. So right now we don't have a direct access, and that's not because we don't want to receive that, because if you're buying it from the local US properties, right, they do not have that facility to receive a crypto. So that's it. Basically, they are not up to speed yet when it comes to transacting in crypto. Okay. Right. So at this point, I want to actually thank you for being with me. And before I just end this, I want you to just take a couple of minutes if you can do this. I know I've shared with you quite a number of things. If you find it useful and it's something that's going to help you in terms of investments, I want to give you a few bonus resources. These are resources that we've done. 7 simple steps to start out on your own. The research criteria. So every property that we have shown you here goes through the 17 research criteria. Before you buy into this property, you got to make sure you go through every single research before you buy in. Otherwise, you might be buying into the wrong type of properties and you might not make your money. So this is hugely important for our investors. And this one is very, very valuable. This is something that we provide only to paying clients, which is the property analysis. So as an investor, as a client, we send you these property proposals and analysis. This will show you a particular property that has the value in it, the research, how much it's going to cost, how much is the rehab, what is your potential gains from here, and that's how the investors make a decision. Okay, I actually want to put my capital in here. So we want to give you a sample of that as well. So if you want to gain access to all of this, very simply give us a review. Okay, your honest review as to how or what you have learned from this session today and how it makes sense to you. So this what we will do for us is basically it will help us reach more people. Okay, more people can benefit from knowing about how US real estate can be easy, can be something that can help them grow their money. And if this is something that you've enjoyed, and we're gonna give you the webinar replay as well. If you want to give us a quick review, and then we'll send this to you, these resources to you. Okay, so I'm just gonna give you 1 minute. Okay, if you decide you're gonna take a picture, I am here in your screen. I think you can somehow enlarge me in your screen. You want to take a picture with me and just share one thing which you have learned about US real estate, okay, in your own social media feeds or in the review links that you have seen here. And then I'm going to move on to the last part of this session where I want to share with you how else we've made things easy for our investors. Okay. Okay, so 1 minute, I think we have about, yeah, I'm just going to give you guys 1 minute, give you a chance to type out your reviews. Okay, so reviews are very important for us because really it lends us a lot more credibility. People realize that real people are actually benefiting from what they're learning in US real estate, and how it can actually do better than their local markets. So for me, this has been life-changing because I now have access to an investment vehicle that can do better for me than my local market. Because Singapore real estate, for example, is wonderful, but it's just too expensive. And the kind of returns, for example, a condo unit in Singapore, and I think we've done our research also in Malaysia, it's going to give you single-digit returns, maybe anywhere between 3 to 5, 7% at best. And in today's context, where the market is just very diverse, it is still not doing really well, not as well as what US real estate can do for you. Okay, so if you are done, type in the chat saying that you are done with the review. Yes, Vincent, thank you so much. Team, please send to Vincent the download link. Thank you, Valentina, as well, the download link to these resources. And then we'll send to you the webinar replay as well if you wish for it. Okay, so 1 minute, I'm going to finish off because I know it's a Saturday, you guys have plans. Some of you want to go for your Hari Raya, outing and things like that. So I want to finish off very quickly. So this is what we've been able to achieve for our investors. We've done 70 properties already to date between 2018 to, I think, certainly when we started off from 2018, yeah, correct. To now, we have about 70 properties already acquired for investors, spent only about $3.8 million in total, but it has a fair market value of about 15 million. So you guys understand, this is a portfolio where you buy low, you spend a lot lesser, but the actual value on the ground is about 15 million. Okay, how many of you like this idea? If you like these numbers, give me a thumbs up. So I know this is, again, something that you want to be a part of. I want to share with you how you can do that as well, okay? Okay, so our targeted returns for you is simply this. If you want to do flipping, we will target a minimum 20% returns for you. Okay, so which means every property that we bring out to you and show you, hey, look, Valentina, look, Suresh or Farhani, who do we have again? Vincent. Okay, so every property that we show you will be properties that's going to do you at least 20% returns in terms of flipping. If it's not going to give you 20% returns, we're not going to show you as well. So we will do all of the research for you, and we tell you, okay, look, there's a property in Jacksonville, Florida that's going to do you maybe 25% returns or more. Okay, so you've seen some of our examples. We have a minimum returns because we want our investors to achieve their investment targets faster. Okay, if you want to do rental, on the rental yield will be 10% minimum. Okay, and then on the Airbnb, about 15%. In this current economic condition, yes, Suresh. So again, we have to stick to the discipline of how we buy properties. Okay, in terms of the market condition right now, in fact, in the US, it is still very buoyant. You have probably read in the news there is a shortage of properties in the US, meaning there is more demand than supply. There's very healthy group of buyers who want to buy, right? So we don't have a problem with buyers. Okay, what we have is an issue of now finding which are the best properties that are going to give you that you can buy at lower than market value, and then you can rehab and then sell for market. So auctions will be one of the areas, and wholesalers will be one of the areas that we buy. You can actually help you target at 20% returns. Okay, so rental 10%, Airbnb 15%. So remember, for rental and Airbnb, that is on the rental yield. This has not taken into account the property capital gains when you actually sell it at a later time. All right. So what is the value of investing in real estate? When we talk about double-digit returns, this is how you can calculate the difference. So today, if some of you have $50,000 or more, and you have a 10-year timeline, we spoke about timelines earlier. So if you decide to just put it in the safest place, maybe, I'm not sure if today putting it in a fixed deposit is the safest place anymore. History has told us that sometimes even governments can go broke, and even banks can sometimes charge negative interest rates. Suresh, yeah, I'm going to give you the contact very right after these slides, and our team will send you as well. Okay, so for example, if you have $50,000, you put into a 3% fixed deposit, you're going to get $67,000 after 10 years. Not too bad, but not the most interesting. 20% returns, if you have put it into an investment that's going to give you 20%, that same $50,000 is going to grow to $309,000, which is more interesting, right? It's going to grow better, faster. Than it's quite a big difference between 67K and 309K. Then if you were to look at an investment that's giving you 30%, so if you are looking at properties that's going to give you 30% return, then you do that every year, you compound your money, that same amount, 50K, is going to grow to 689,000. How many of you like 689 versus 67,000? Give me a thumbs up. I love 689K versus 67,000. It's the same amount of money that's working, that's growing for you. And the last one, we did a 45% line. Okay, and that same $50,000 will grow to 2.05 million. So this is like mind-blowing, right? The same $50,000 can grow to 2.05 million if you do a 45% returns kind of investment. So understand, the only reason why we do a 45% line here is because in the year 2020 and 2021, even with COVID, what we did for our flipping clients on an average basis. It means we took all the different properties that we did for them and we sold them at a 45% returns average. So in the year 2020 and 2021, we did 45%. So we are not saying that we can do 45% every year for our investors, but it does happen. So this is just based on historical data. So, you know, historical data did not necessarily guarantee future results, but just to show you what may be possible, right? So you imagine a $50,000 growing to $2.05 million, that would have exceeded my retirement target, okay, which I need 1.5 million. But this is just for you to understand the possibilities, the difference between doing single-digit returns versus double-digit returns in your own countries. Okay, so I hope you can see the value of why you want to do US real estate, because end of the day is about your money growing faster and better. Okay, so US real estate can help you do this. Okay, consistently. Question is, can you do this on your own? So I think Mr. Suresh was asking, how do you contact somebody if you want to do this? Yes, it can be done. I want you to just take a listen. This is the last video I want to share with you. How, if any of you, I'm not sure if you've met Datuk Sri Paul Chong, based in Malaysia, how he has enjoyed easiness when it comes to doing real estate because Noble Sky has been helping. Just a quick.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Paul Chong from Malaysia. As the former CEO of a global investment bank, a private equity fund manager, a lawyer and an accountant, I'm well versed with investment models. Today, I want to share my experience in partnering with Raul Said and Noble Sky International in an effort to build my real estate portfolio, especially in a country that I cannot conveniently reach or be in at all times, such as the United States. For my business and career, I'm based both in Hong Kong and Malaysia, but I've lived and worked in major financial centers around the world, including London and New York. So I know how expensive things can be in order for us to maintain a comfortable lifestyle. Now, I'm a Chinese person, and I'm a firm believer in real estate. Ironically, despite me being a Wall Street investment banker, some 80% of my net worth is in real estate. I have property interests in the United States, the United Kingdom, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Singapore, and Australia, all of which I had to manage personally. Now, you can imagine the pain I go through every year when tax season arrives, right? Because reporting the rental income, the depreciation, the expenses, you know, on all these properties across 6 countries around the world, it's a nightmare. I even have Deloitte do my tax returns for me, right? One of the big 4 accounting firms in the world. Then Raul offered me something I found very, very useful. A professional team that will help me manage at least one of the countries that I'm invested in, the United States. From search to acquisition, from refurbishment to letting and sale. It's something that also can be structured on a profit-sharing basis. Now, as an investment banker, I love profit-sharing schemes because that gives my partner, in this case, Noble Sky, the utmost incentive to do the best they can, to realize the highest profit they can, rather than working for me or with me for a fixed fee. As a foreigner in the United States, I'm now assured that I can safely and comfortably own many properties in the United States, even without stepping foot, in the US. Noble Sky offered a business model that makes perfect sense to me. And that part of my business is now, if you like, run by a professional team that does not need my input or time at all. So I get time to focus on other businesses and family. Say, the 3 things that I value in them. Number 1 is their presence in the United States. I made a mistake previously buying half an office block in Melbourne, totally unseen. So my friend and I were sharing this, and we the realtor or the real estate broker showed us the building on Google Earth. We signed it, cut them a check while we were in Hong Kong, and that was it, right? That turned out to be a bit of a mistake because nothing beats what we call shoe leather investment in real estate. The ability to walk the streets, search the local databases, compare transactions across similar properties, understanding the local market, talking to local realtors, right? Getting a deep sense of the community, the demographics, and so on. So that is important. Number two, Ralph has a professional team that is highly experienced, not just as buyers, but as a team that can pull together the required labor and professionals for the renovation, refurbishment, and the ultimate sale, all at acceptable costs. And finally, what I find truly intoxicating is the drive that I see in Ralph and his team. They work tirelessly to manage, that property portfolio for us. So since 2018, my group of investors in Noble Sky, under Ralph's guidance, have acquired 13 properties in New York and Florida states combined. Some of these we have achieved exits with fantastic returns. To draw an example, 6 of the properties we sold in Florida made us between 30 to 59% profit. And the 3 we sold in New York State, we were very happy with the exit, and one of them made us 85% in profits. So I want to thank Ralph, ICE, and the Noble Sky team for making my life easy as I venture into the real estate business in the United States. It's something that I can't do because I'm not in the US all the time, and they have been giving me returns that I will never dream of attaining in Malaysia. So if you have the chance.
Okay, so that was Datuk Sri Paul Chong. Thank you very much, Datuk Sri Paul Chong, for he's been with us again since the start when we opened up in 2018. So you realize that even a busy businessman like Datuk Sri Paul Chong, how he leave it to Noble Sky International to actually manage his portfolio, and that is partly why I say that we are unique in the sense that we are probably the only company out there that does this for you. Okay, so we are based in Asia, and based on what we have researched, there's no one else that does it the way we do. You can always see people putting out seminars, webinars about buying properties in UK, Australia, US, but what they have for you is they have properties to be sold to you, right? So, but what we do is very different. We are a boutique kind of service where we understand your investment needs, where you want to go, and then we facilitate the whole process for you. Okay. Then you'll be in a more secure position because you are the owners of the properties, and we manage everything for you. Okay, so we can help you to do all of this if this is what has been interesting for you and you feel that this is going to be able to be part of your plans. But understand that we've been helping these clients only because they meet our criteria. Okay, Mr. Suresh, I will get to you on that as well. So if you actually want to work with us to help you manage your properties, to tap on our expertise to buy into the properties in the US and things like that, you got to at least meet these few criteria which we have, because we have dealt with so many different types of clients. From the start, when we just open things up, we open our doors to everybody, and then we realized that not everybody is suited for real estate investing. Okay, first and foremost, if you want to do US real estate, of course, you must understand or believe that it will give you superior returns compared to maybe your local real estate, and that it can give you, help you achieve your financial goals. If you think that it's not going to help you, then obviously this is not for you. You can go ahead with your stocks investing or crypto, forex, whatever it is. Okay. Next thing is you will be willing to work in partnership with Noble Sky and trust in our expertise and ability to deliver results. Okay, so a lot of the time, people, again, since 2014 when we started this, we showed people how to do it, but they could not do it themselves. Okay, it became a failed thing on their own, and we partly blame ourselves because we realized that we were not meeting them. We were only meeting them halfway. We didn't help them through the whole process because they were not able to do it on their own. So that's how we shifted and pivot into becoming a full-fledged service provider. Then you need to have the mindset of an investor and businessman. And this, I love a lot of the questions that's coming in from Mr. Suresh, because you're asking the right question, because you have the investor mindset. You're asking, what are the risks? What are things that could go wrong? And what are things that could go right? So these are a few things that you need to understand. So understand, when we run this for you as an investment, it's also run as a business. So real estate investing involves actual assets, actual properties on the ground. It is unlike buying paper or buying digital currencies or things like that. Okay, there's an actual asset that needs work to be done. So for you to make your money, you need to you want to do your 20%, 30%, 50% or more, whatever that may be. There's actual work that needs to be done. And that will require some level of understanding for you to realize that properties are there. It's not going to go away. The demand for properties, whether COVID or no COVID, people will need a house to stay in. So that level of demand will always be there, but there needs to be actual work that needs to be done. So you need to have that mindset. The point number 4, you need to be someone who takes a long-term view on real estate, and that you're not looking for a get-rich-quick scheme. I know some of the numbers that we've displayed, we have shown you, we have featured. Some of them look very, very interesting. We have 95% returns. Dato' Paul said one of them did 85% returns. Then a number of these other properties did 20, 30, 40% returns. Very, very good numbers. Again, they are interesting, but I will tell you not to look at it as a get-rich-quick scheme. You need to take a long-term view. Go in with the mindset that you want to build a portfolio, buy into more properties. You may decide to maybe reinvest your profits into buying the next property. That's how you build your wealth. So you rather work with people who has a long-term view as opposed to someone who just wants quick money. Because exactly that's exactly what real estate is not. It's not quick money, but it can give you very, very good returns over time. Okay, so if you're someone who meets all of these criteria, we would love to work with you, but we need to understand your needs and your goals a little bit better. So very simply, as I've mentioned from the start of this webinar, I have nothing to sell to you. And this is the last part of my presentation. If you wish to work with us, Mr. Suresh, I know you want to get in touch with somebody. I would appreciate if you can actually just fill up this form very quickly. It's gonna take you maybe about 3 minutes of your time. If you want to do it now, you can do that as well. It's just a few set of questions for us to get to know you better where you are. And then this being the weekend, right? It's a Saturday. Give our team some time to review your responses and then get back to you probably by Monday. Okay, so I know, so the rest, we don't want to try and disturb your weekends as well. You probably want to go out, now that the borders are open and restaurants are open, you want to go out with your family and things like that. So we don't want to really bother you unless you are requesting for us to get in touch with you immediately. We'll be happy to do so. Otherwise, do give my team some time to review your response and get back to you on Monday. Okay, so this is where I have come to the end of my webinar. I hope you have benefited from what I've shared with you, and this is where I take your questions. So Mr. Suresh, you mentioned about worst case scenario. There are, maybe it'd be easier answer if you were to ask me specific worst case scenarios you have in mind, but coming from where we are, probably a few of the things that people are thinking about, maybe some of it already been asked earlier. Now, what if you have a rental property and there's no tenant? Okay, that could be a case, right? There could be a potential risk. So one thing good is that this property is already in your hand. It is a property, an asset of value. Say you really can't find a tenant. Noble Sky will look for a tenant for you, but somehow there's really no tenant, which is unlikely the case. This property can always still be sold for profits. Okay, so you still get your profits from selling the property, because we buy property below market value, we make it good, we proceed up to the market value, that we can still sell for profits. Okay, so tenancy is one issue. But in today's market in the US, as I've mentioned, the need for houses exceeds the supply. So a lot of people are going into rental because of the inflation, right? So some people have been priced out, so they can't buy a home. What they do is they go into rental. So the rental demand has also increased. So in terms of rental tenancy, not getting a tenant is very unlikely in today's current context. Okay, next thing will be what if there's a delay in terms of the rehab, and that has happened as well. This is because of global issues which beyond Noble Sky's help, right? COVID came, the supply chain was affected throughout the world. Things came in slower, cost of repairs went higher and things like that. So we had to tell our investors to wait out a little bit for the things to normalize, and some of the flipping projects got dragged a little bit. So, but we told them, and our investors understand. So remember, one of the criteria is for you to have investor mindset as well as businessman mindset. So to understand that these are unprecedented events which affects everybody. So we have to delay some of the flipping work. Yes. So Mr. Suresh, exactly. due diligence definitely has to be done. So in fact, that is very reason why we are here, because we want to show you guys how we do things. Okay, and as an investor, you have every right to look at that level of due diligence that we do for every property. So before you decide to put in your money, remember we sell you the property analysis. This will contain the research work that we do. And if you decide, if you are someone who loves the numbers, right? Some people say, show me the numbers. I want to see how many properties you're making this comparison with and things like that. We have that very piece of our own research sheet, which we can share with you for you to do your own checks as well, checks and balances. So if you say that, we do have people who say, I love to look at all of these numbers, and we will give them access to that. But most of the investors that come in, they will say that, okay, look, I don't want to bother myself with all of these numbers. I just want to tap on Noble Sky's experience and expertise to select these properties for me. So we show them, and then you look at the properties, you decide, okay, this is a property, I quite like it, the returns meet my needs, then I can decide to put my money in there. Okay, so that's how it works. All right, any other questions from anyone? It's 11:50 on my clock. I again thank everyone for coming on a Saturday to learn about how US real estate can work for you. Okay, so I hope it's been beneficial. I'm just gonna leave maybe 1 or 2 minutes on the clock. Thank you, Mr. Suresh, for coming in. We'll be in touch. Yeah, the rest of you, if you're interested to work with us, okay, you want to find out if this is something that we can work together in partnership, do fill up the form. It's just going to take about 2 to 3 minutes of your time. We'll get back to you on Monday after we review your questions, your responses rather. Okay, so I'm going to leave my team to play you guys some music before we end off. If you have any questions, do type in the chat. Otherwise, we're going to end off in 2 minutes. Okay, I'm going to go off camera. Questions you have, please put it in the chat. Thank you.